All right, so today we're reviewing for our Chapter 1 test. All right, we're going to work 20 problems. Starting with, I know. Okay, so here's your first 3 problems. All right, I want you to evaluate these expressions when r equals 4 and s equals 6. So you have 3 problems like this on your test tomorrow. Okay, so on number 1, when we substitute 4 times 4 plus 6 squared and we add them, we get 52. On number 2, we show our substitution again. All right, 2 times 4 squared minus 15. What's 4 squared?
16.
All right, 16. What's 16 minus 15?
1.
So what's your answer? 2. 2 times 1 is 2. All right, and what about number 3? S squared, so 6 squared plus 4 divided by 4 plus 6. So what's 40 divided by 10? 4. Anybody get all 3 of those? Raise your hand if you got all 3. Good job. Does anybody have any questions? You see what you missed, maybe? All right, so let's move on to the next slide. We've got now some order of operations. Okay, all right, and then I just need to make this one small correction. This should be a bracket. All right, go ahead and solve these 3 and make sure you follow order of operations. All right, guys, so on number 4, what do you do first? What do you do first, guys? What do you do? Exponent. Very good. 80 minus 8 plus 10. Show this step. Guys, show this step because the more you can show your work and the less you're trying to do in your head, the less likely it is that you're going to make a mistake. All right? Now, I am like the queen of making mistakes when it comes to doing things mental math. And I'm a math teacher. I should be able to do things mental math, but I mess up all the time. The more I can show my work, the better off I'm going to be. All right? So, what's my answer?
82.
Very good. Now, on number 5, I need to work from the outside, from the inside out. Okay, so 2 plus 4 is 6. Okay, and yes, and 8 minus 6 is 2, so 3 times 2 is 6. Then, on number 6, I work what's in parentheses first. Now, let me ask you this. Do you multiply first, or do you do your exponent? You do your exponent. 5 squared is 25, and multiply that by 3, and you get 15. Right? Anybody get all 3 of these right? Okay, good. Awesome. All right, very good. We're through about half of the test. All right? Now, there's a few questions at the beginning of the test that are very basic, just substitute and solve, that really nobody had an issue with yesterday, but you will have a couple of those as well. All right, now let's move into working some absolute value problems. All right, evaluate when x equals negative 8. You've got 4 problems. Now, this section I saw a few more common mistakes, so we're going to spend a little bit of more time explaining how to do each one of these. But let me ask you this. What happens when you take absolute value? What happens to that number? It loses its sign. It doesn't have a sign, okay? Now, when I'm evaluating, essentially I treat it like a positive, but if I take the absolute value of a negative number, it loses its negative, okay? And that changes my answer. That changes my answer. So on the quiz yesterday, I saw some people forgot to apply that rule, okay? So we'll talk about it in just a minute. I'll give you time to work these 4. All right, so on number 7, I'm taking the absolute value of negative 8. Guys, show this step. Look at me. Look up here. Show this step. If you try to do this step in your head, you are leaving yourself open to making a mistake, okay? Because now that I can visually see I'm taking the absolute value of negative 8, what is the absolute value of negative 8? It is positive, or not necessarily positive, but it is just 8. So now 8 minus 10 is negative 2. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. All right, now on number 8, I'm doing 24 minus the absolute value of x. So that's 24 minus the absolute value of negative 8. That's not a double negative. The absolute value bars are not parentheses. I need to take the absolute value of negative 8, and what is it? just 8, and now I subtract it because there's already a subtraction sign there. 24 minus 8 is 16. Okay? Now, number 9. There's already a negative there, so what happens when I plug in another negative? It turns into a positive. 8 plus 8 is 16. Now, on number 10, 10 plus x, but since x is negative 8, it turns into 10 minus 8, which is 2. All right, did anybody get all 4? Awesome. Wow, that's really encouraging. Okay, anybody have any questions? Anything at all? Anything that you're looking at and you're just still a little stumped on or confused about? Everybody good? All right, okay, let's move on. All right, integer rules. Let's go over them before you start solving these problems. Okay? All right, let's talk about adding and subtracting rules. Same sign, what? Add and keep. Different sign, subtract and take. What about multiplying and dividing? Even number of negatives is a positive answer. Odd number of negatives is a negative answer. Number 18, look at number 18. You have division and addition in the same expression. And because of that, you must follow order of operations. Apply your rules when you're dividing and get that number, and then apply your rules for adding and subtracting. Does that make sense? You cannot work it left to right. Okay? All right, so make sure that you work it according to order of operations, and I'll explain it more in just a minute after I give you time to work it. Right, so when I'm multiplying, I apply my even-odd rule. My answer is positive or negative 24? Negative. Negative, because I have one negative, so my answer is negative. What about 8 minus 12? Negative 4, very good. Subtract and take. What about negative 11 minus 7? Negative 18. They are both negative. You add and keep. Add and keep. All right. What about number 14?
15.
Now, since it is all multiplication, I can multiply first and then count how many negatives I have. So 5 times 3 times 1 is 15. How many negatives do I have? 2. So my answer is positive. Okay? So since I'm only multiplying, I can apply my even-odd rule again and just multiply them all and then apply the rule. Number 15, what do you see first that you have to do? You've got to do what? Change the double negative to a positive. 6 plus 3 minus 7 is 2. Again, I just work left to right. Number 16, I'm dividing all the way across. So again, I can work left to right and then count my negatives, how many negatives at the end. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. I have 2 negatives, so my answer is positive. What about number 17? What's number 17?
Negative 25.
Negative 25. Number 18. Guys, listen. There is division and addition, so I have to work it one step at a time. What is 30 divided by negative 3? Negative 10. Negative 10. Here, let me backtrack. 30 divided by negative 3 is negative 10. Then I can add my 8 to get negative 2. Okay? So that's the problem there, is some of you are trying to work this left to right and bring in your negative at the end. But because there's division and addition, that I have to solve them in 2 separate steps. Does that make sense? That is very similar to number 14 on your quiz, I believe, and several people missed that because they didn't do it in 2 separate steps. All right, nod your head if you understand. You get that? Okay, so now let's go over our coordinate plane. You don't have to draw this. I just want you watching. Okay. Where do I go for point A? Do I go left 3 or right 3? I go left because it's negative. Do I go up or down 2? Up 2. And that's point A. Whoops. Yeah, I did that right. Okay, on B, do I go left or right 4? Left 4, up or down 5? Very good. What about C, left or right? Nothing. Up or down 5? Up. Point C. So now on your test tomorrow, I'm going to ask you the location. The location. So what is my location of point A? What is my location? Quadrant 2. Do I write it a number 2? No. I write it Roman numeral 2. What about point B? Quadrant 3. What about point C? Y. Up and down is your Y. Y-axis. Y-axis. All right, one more concept that we need to review is finding the mean. I want you to find the mean of these 5 numbers. Find the mean of these 5 numbers. Somebody raise your hand. What do you do first? What do you do, Laria? Combine your negatives and combine your positives. Same sign, add and keep. I know that I'm adding them all together, okay, but in order to do that properly, I need to add my positives together, and I need to combine my negatives, and I take the difference. So 15 is my answer, right? What do I do now? Divide by what? By 5, and my answer is 3. Who got 3? Raise your hand. Awesome. Okay, I'm feeling very optimistic for our test tomorrow. Remember, this video will be on YouTube tonight, so if you would like to use it to study for your test, or maybe while you're doing your quiz corrections, please use this resource. All right, and if you understand that, you're good to go for the test tomorrow.